Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor. Welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight, season 14, episode 8. As the couple have definitely ended the honeymoon phase, and they are introducing their spouses to their friends and having their housewarming at their new shared space. So before we get into it, please, of course, subscribe to the channel as we are doing quick reviews, and we're doing it from a centered place. We're not poking fun at the cast members. We're taking into consideration that they're human beings and they're learning as they go as well. And this is a brave act to get married at first sight. So let's get right on into it. So let's start with Chris and Alyssa. As you know, there's not much really to say there. We saw that Chris was talking to his mother about how he felt about how things went. Alyssa talked to her friend, and she was really being dishonest about her effort and Chris's lack of effort. One thing I can say that stood out for me, I'll just say this, is that Alyssa's friend really seems to know her. As she said, even not knowing Chris and only hearing Alyssa's side of the story, she was able to say, I really wish I would have gotten to know him, because, sometimes, you kind of give guys a hard time. So it seems like she really knows her friend. And I wish them both the best. I truly do. I wish that maybe hopefully watching this show that Alyssa will be able to see herself, be able to learn and grow. I know that was asked at the after party and Chris was saying a little reluctant about that. But I really, truly hope that she doesn't make this about her being shown as a bad person, right? But she actually takes accountability for her actions. And then I also hope that Chris sees himself too and learns about himself so that he can move on with the next chapter of his life. Next, we have Katina and Olajuwon. And so I thought it was interesting. They start off with Olajuwon cooking breakfast. As he said, hey, I do cook too. I'm not just being hard on Katina about cooking, right? But, I really like Olajuwon's Jeff, Olajuwon's friend. He really seems to hold him accountable and tell him the truth, right? So O was talking about, he's scared that sex will change his feelings, about the relationship or change how he responds, as he really doesn't have a really strong emotional connection to Katina, which kind of throws me for a loop because he's putting out all these big gestures that are saying otherwise. And so it's leading me to believe that maybe there's some things that he's not saying. He did say that a red flag was that she doesn't know how to grocery shop. And so Jeff was like, hey, maybe she's just used to shopping for herself and she's used to eating out, and we got to give her some grace. And you put high expectations on people in your life, and you got to accept people for who they are. I really feel like that reflects Olajuwon's even expectations on himself. Like, he's very hard and he pushes himself, and that's kind of that boisterous, that strong voice that he uses with Katina. He has that same internal voice, I believe, within himself. And so once he's able to give himself some grace, he really will be able to give Katina grace as well. As she's learning this too. It's okay. Now, Katina, you fibbing about the chicken at the house party. Jeff asked if who cooked the chicken, and then she said she did, and I'm like, hoping that was a joke because the carryout box was right behind her. But it was also interesting as Katina, met with her friend, and they talked about Olajuwon saying that he has never dated a black woman. And so that gave them quite an alarm, because when a man says that, one could make a conclusion that they have a preference not to date black women. That is a thing. And so, Katina's friend is very cautious about that. Katina did talk about it in her confessional and at the after party as well, that he has never been in a serious relationship with a black woman, but it also seems like he hasn't really been in a serious relationship with any woman. But that's something I think that, Katina maybe should not be so easily to dismiss, but to definitely take into consideration when getting to know Olajuwon, because that is a thing, and to see how maybe his expectations are maybe playing a role in this, right? But she is saying that she feels resolved about the issue and feels like things are moving forward and they're making progress. Now, one thing I can say is, man, the editors really edit conversations because the initial footage that we saw of Olajuwon meeting her friends the day after the wedding didn't mention that at all. Then the flow of the conversation was completely different. And so that's really, really why I'm so cautious to make assumptions about why somebody is saying something or how they're moving in the relationship, because you just don't know. And so I really try to go off of what behavior I'm seeing, the trends I'm seeing, the motivation behind the behavior. But if it's not clear, I'm definitely going to just lean to my curiosity and wonder more than say for sure, I know something, and say for sure, I know a motivation behind someone's behavior, because we just don't know. So one thing that I did see was interesting, a little observation. While Olajuwon at the housewarming was talking with her friends, he seemed to be so nervous. It's like he's fully aware that he knows that he doesn't really excel in social settings and meeting new people. He knows he can kind of be a little rough around the edges and like rub people the wrong way. And at the same time, he really is pretty enduring. And they talked about that too at the after party, and how the gentleman, Steve initially was like, whoa, this guy's a lot. But then, really got to see that he was a genuine guy. And Chris said that he really had a great first impression with Olajuwon. So you could tell he was just in his eyes like, oh man, I just don't know what to say to make these people like me. But he was just himself. And I'm really hoping that his actions really line up with his words, that he is giving both Katina and her friends. It was also, too, lastly, very, very enduring that he did cut his hair for her. And it's just a small but a big token, because a hair change and the expression of hair is huge. So it was a small token, but a big token to show like that he cares, and what she's saying means a lot to him. Next, we have Michael and Jasmina. Whew, it was so nice. It was so nice to see them playful again. I was like, yes, this is the Michael and Jasmina connection that we saw the first day of the wedding. We had high hopes about, and then when they started getting into these little arguments, I was like, no. So it was really great to see it. Michael met with his sister, and, she advised him really well. She said that, Jasmina is really in a space where she's vulnerable, and really having a fear of vulnerability, and has those walls up, and she doesn't know you. She does not know you. And it's not that she doesn't trust you. She just doesn't know you. So don't take it personal. It's a really, I think, a powerful lesson that all couples can learn, as sometimes we do take our partner's defenses as personal, when really they're just scared. And this situation, meeting a stranger, marrying them on national television, that's be a very triggering process, activating process. You're going to be scared. And so I really, really liked that she offered that to him. He seemed to receive it. I really also feel that he's going to definitely need to be honest with her. They're both going to need to be honest with each other to build this foundation in their relationship, so they will be able to trust each other and take the time to get to know each other. They don't really know each other. All I know about Jasmina is she likes K-drama and BTS, and she knows how to argue. Okay. Other than that, we still need to know more. Oh, and then she is a teacher. That's all I really know. So I really hope that they get to know each other and really, really start to build a bond together. Jasmina meets with her friend, and thank goodness she holds her to the fire as she says, hey, you said that Michael doesn't know how to back down in an argument. Neither do you. You don't know how to say when you're wrong. And she said, well, that's because I rarely am. And she said, yeah, that's the problem. You don't think that you're wrong. So I really, I'm liking these friends that are showing up there. They got some great friends that hold them accountable, that tell them the truth. And also, she did give her, too, some great advice of just being just understanding of where the partner's coming from. She talked about when her fiance comes home and he's talking about what he ate for lunch and how she really doesn't want to hear it, but she leans into it because he wants to connect with her. And it seems like Michael has done that so much. Like, let me tell you this story about me being bullied in the 3rd grade. And Katina just sat there like, okay, I'm still mad at you. So just leaning in a little bit, so that they can, again, build a connection. So at the housewarming, Michael, he really wanting to know, okay, how do we navigate conflict? How do I do this with my wife? It's clear that we are struggling. And so I think that her friend definitely gave him some great advice of just taking it, being patient, which is so difficult, but being patient, listening to her, but then also asking questions. That's the biggest piece. And leaning into the curiosity. Oftentimes in conflict, your partner is saying something that really doesn't register with you, or you don't feel like makes sense to you. And so then you either become dismissive of it or defensive, or even deny it. And really, it really is an invalidating experience when that happens. So asking questions so that you can really understand where the other person's coming from is going to be so helpful. So I'm glad that she gave him that information. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see if Michael is willing to take that advice. Michael's sister, stated that Michael really doesn't know how to be assertive. And so this is kind of giving me a little concern. She talked about that Michael, when he is at a restaurant and the waiter brings the wrong food, and he'll just like take it and not say anything. And she's grateful that Jasmina is the type of person that will do that. And while that is great, Michael's going to need to be able to have his own voice. And so when people have a hard time being assertive and asking for their needs, they go without. And then after so long of going without, they tend to be aggressive. And that's something that Jasmina has accused Michael of. So I'm really concerned about Michael finding his voice in this relationship. And I'm hoping that he definitely finds his voice so that he'll be able to communicate effectively with Jasmina and speak from a way that is vulnerable, that will match her vulnerability. And then hopefully these walls will come down and we'll be able to get this beautiful connection. Next, we have Steve and Noi. I'm laughing because Steve got a pooper scooper for sushi. He said, I'm not picking up this dog poop, and I understand. I understand it. Noi is, they show a scene. I was like, is this production being petty again? But we see that Noi is working from home, and Steve comes in and he's making her breakfast, and I thought it was very sweet. And so we see where Steve is asking, like, hey, so who made the food in your house? And it seems to, because later on after they had their conflict, he mentioned like, hey, I've been cooking a lot, and so Noi finally cooked for me, and that was really sweet. And I was like, oh, is he asking this question because he's tired of cooking and wanting to know if she cooks, or if she, what her ideas like house rules or gender roles are in a relationship. But he did bring up that he didn't really know how big of a deal the income or lack of income is for her, with her upbringing, with her going through poverty, like extreme traumatic poverty. We're not talking about, ends not meeting, but serious poverty, that him not having a job was an issue for her. Really what I wanted from Steve, what I want, and I think would be so helpful, and I don't know if this is happening, is him to communicate with her what his income is. There's a difference. There's a complete difference. And, it kept coming up at the housewarming. Are you working? Are you not working? And then his friend alluded to the fact that, hey, he can get a job if he wanted to. And I don't know if the intent of that was for her to hear like, oh, like you're going to be fine. But he doesn't want to do that type of work, right? So for me, it doesn't give Noi the security she's looking for. It doesn't give her the security she's looking for. If he were to say, a friend or Steve himself were to say, hey, I'm working consistently, I'm a freelancer, and I'm not employed, but I employ myself, and I have these contracts, and I do this, and I do this graphic design, do this photography, and whatever multiple, business or streams of income he has, so that she can understand that he has money coming in. But she says she sees no evidence of that. And so I really believe that is something that she truly is struggling and battling with. And that is really what's leading up to this situation that we see in the kitchen. So, so the cooking fiasco and Noi leaving. Here's my take. So, cooking in the kitchen is a thing, right? I think that Noi was doing definitely an act of service and love for Steve, and he came in to infringe on the kitchen, right? And so that definitely could be a thing, because some people are really territorial in the kitchen. They're like, it's my space. When I'm cooking, don't come in. And he was seeing that, she's not cooking my food or my noodles, so let me put it on for her. And then they're overcooked, and she took it as an insult, and then she left without saying anything. Well, he said on the after party she did say, I'm done cooking, and then left. So he really didn't know until she said, I'm done cooking, that she was upset about what he did. And at the same time, what she posted on social media, that meme, it really seems that potentially Noi is more upset about this employment situation and potentially some other things, and she's not speaking her truth in this relationship. Noi also tends to lead with her emotions, with being very steadfast about things that really requires logically just a little wiggle room. 3 kids, very steadfast. Sushi's going to sleep in the bed between both of us. Some things that just like, for a relationship to work, we gotta have some flexibility. So I really, really want her to be able to voice herself in this situation, specifically with the income, and maybe she has some concern about that because she knows that this potentially could be like the end of the relationship, and she seems to really, really like Steve, but she needs to be able to communicate with him about what's really going on with her. Open communication, of course, is the best communication, and so working with them in that area is going to definitely help them to build a foundation of trust and intimacy in their relationship. Last we have Mark and Lindsey. And so Mark is talking with his friends and saying that, he really, really likes the fact that Lindsey is with him every day. Like, he gets to come to home with her and have somebody to come home to, and that's great. And that she is so supportive. And, she made a doctor's appointment for his mother, and she hasn't seen a doctor in over a year. And so she's stepping in to be a support and help to him. And at the same time, the no filter is getting in the way. Every day she's saying something that just kind of rubs him the wrong way, and he has just had it. He's had it with dealing with that. And this is a theme that comes up, even as they're in the housewarming. He's asking for tips from her friends on how do I tell her to reel it in? How do I tell her to be quiet when she needs to? How do I tell her not to say things that are going to offend other people? I think for Lindsey, what will help Mark, what will benefit Mark in this situation is to talk about things when things are not escalated. When things are not escalated, when there's no alcohol involved, and to talk about it in a calm manner. I like you. I appreciate you and all that you have done for me. You have supported me through so much. This has been a crazy ordeal the last 2 weeks, and you've been right there with me. I really want us to build a connection, and at the same time, when things become in a place where you say things that are uncomfortable for me, and we've talked about it with Pastor Cal, and I don't know if it's not fully sinking in, but I really would like for you to consider, how you say things and how they affect other people. Now, I don't know if 100% Lindsey is going to receive any of this. One, just because Lindsey is unfiltered. That is who she is, and I know she's heard this. I know she's heard this critique before. Her father has said it on camera before, so she knows it. So there's a reason why she doesn't choose to do this, and she says she likes to confront things head on. They had a huge disagreement in front of everyone at the bowling alley, which was so cringy for both of them. I really feel like that was something that needed to be handled when they got home. I know that Lindsey and Katina have this kind of tiff because of what happened on the honeymoon, and that was still kind of festering, and Mark really wanted Lindsey not to address Katina. And I felt like that conversation needed to happen once they maybe got in the car, maybe the next morning. But I think Mark is not, learning how to navigate this and his emotions at the same time. And Lindsey, during the moment when things are escalated and she's had alcohol, all those combined, and hearing his critique, and then both of them go to these low blow areas of have another drink, call your mom, all of these things, it really puts them in a space where they are not communicating. Low blows just, it is so unproductive, and it really hurts the heart of the relationship. And then Lindsey continues to do low blows. I mean, harsh, mean words, hitting him at some very vulnerable places about his income, about how he shows up in the bedroom and their relationship, very sensitive areas. And anyone who's entering a partnership needs to know that they're emotionally safe and that they're covered by their partner, even in anger. And so I definitely feel like in order for them to move forward, that this behavior needs to have a period. It needs to end. And I don't really see evidence that that's going to continue moving forward. I see the behavior that continues on in their relationship. As Mark is struggling, to communicate with her effectively, and Lindsey really responds very harshly to criticism and rejection. And so I hope that the experts can step in and move things forward with them. But I really feel like they're going to need some really serious work in order to make this relationship work. So there we have it. Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 8. We will see how things continue to move forward as it gets heated even next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below, and let me know what you guys think. Of course, as these couples are still learning and growing together. And as always, be cool, be calm, be centered.